see you guys in a while. Don't forget, I'm that one YouTuber that promises to upload future videos and then never does. But this one actually made it onto the channel, so thank you for joining me here today. Glad to have you guys with me. But wanted to go ahead and introduce you guys into a new hobby of mine that I've recently gotten into, and that is CNC machining. And today we're going to be machining these. These are my first things that I have machined on my new CNC machine out of 6061 T6 aluminum. And I wanted to make something simple to start out with. I've already started cutting on some things of wood, done a couple projects with that. I've also messed with some brass coins and badges that you'll see in some future episodes as well. But I wanted to go ahead and also start playing with aluminum, and I'm really happy with how it came out. I made these coasters. These are for bigger Stanley and Yeti cups. And then I also made some smaller ones that are for normal size cans and smaller regular size cups as well. So let's go ahead and turn that camera back around. Let me introduce you to my new CNC machine, and let's get to work, shall we? Last year, I purchased this Shapeoko HDM CNC machine. This is the highest offering that Shapeoko offers in their catalog of consumer-grade CNC machines. And I chose this one simply because I think it's going to be able to do all of the materials that I'd like to do in the future. And honestly, it's probably a bit ambitious for somebody's first CNC machine. I wouldn't probably recommend starting out with this yourself if you're trying to get into this as well. But I chose this one just because I spent weeks of research trying to figure out what machine I wanted, and I actually compared this one to 4 other CNC machines. And I didn't choose this one because it was necessarily the cheapest, but based on everything that everybody recommended for anybody that was getting started, I really do feel like this one was going to be my best option. It has a really good community of people that'll help you out, and Shapeoko is really well known for helping out anybody that has any issues with any of their machines. Their customer support tends to be the best in the industry, especially for people that are more consumer grade and not necessarily, big businesses that are able to buy a brand new Haas machine. So here we're going to go ahead and just load the stock up, and I'm going to probe it now to find where the stock is on the machine itself. So that little thing that I have in the corner is what I use to probe the corner of the stock. And this is basically just telling the machine exactly where I place that aluminum block on the bed itself. So that way it knows where to actually start cutting things after I program it. We're starting with 1/4-inch thick aluminum plate, and I got this idea for these coasters from Winston Moy and Titans of CNC. They both have made videos on an ISO grid type of coaster that they produced out of aluminum, and I kind of wanted to copy that idea, but I wanted to kind of give my own flavor to it. I didn't want to just directly make exactly what they made. So I decided that since I actually liked from some of the previous projects that I've done on this machine already, I really like the look of tool pathing on the surface of any part that you make. I just genuinely think it looks really neat, and it shows the process of how a CNC machine works. And so I think whenever you leave the tool pathing finish on there, I think it's just a really nice touch. So it's kind of what I'm going for with these coasters. I think what I'm going to do is actually try to make another mold that I can drop these coasters into, and then I can use that to flip them over and maybe do the ISO grid on the other side of the coasters. That way it's not just a direct one-to-one copy. Here you can see I'm actually starting on the pocket, and this pocket is going to give me that tool pathing that I'm wanting on the surface section of the coaster itself. So I'm starting out with a circular pocket cut, and then eventually I'll go to the hex pocket cut to actually give that outline that I'm wanting that'll also show the tool lines there as well. A lot of these first cuts are being made using Shapeoko's 1/8-inch 102 end mill. And it's a beginner end mill, but it works really well for cutting wood, aluminum, and brass. And I've used it in a multitude of my projects, and I've broken a few of them, but if you really don't push them too much, they tend to be very reliable, and they seem to last for a good long time. Here I'm starting the hexagrid pocket cut, and this is where it's going to give me the tool pathing on the outline of the coaster, but it's going to be separated from the circular interior region that will actually kind of hold the cup in place a little bit. I did that center circular section a little bit deeper so there will be a lip to help hold the cup in place. My speeds and feeds for this are also very conservative. Like I said, I'm not trying to push the machine too hard. I don't want to break any more end mills, and I don't want to gouge or hurt the material in any way. So for right now, I'm really just running a plunge rate of 10 inches per minute and a feed rate of 20 inches per minute, and I'm running the end mill at 24,000 RPM. That is very conservative, especially for a Shapeoko HDM. I'm not trying to push the machine too much, I just really wanted to make sure these parts came out really nice and clean. It did take me about an hour and a half to fully machine this first part, but later on I got that time down to about 45 minutes. I do plan to go back and actually try to remake this entire part in Fusion 360, and when I do, I'm also going to be using their CAM tool to try to program the job as well. I think I can get that time down even more by using their CAM tool. As you saw just a moment ago, we switched out to our 1/16 end mill. This is going to do some more of the finer details on the part, including the center beam just under the VR letters. And then I'm going to be switching it out for a 90-degree V-bit that'll do the lettering just underneath that bar that we cut out with that 1/16 end mill. Now that the lettering is done, I use that same 90-degree V-bit end mill to also do my chamfered edges around the coaster. Now this is my first time ever actually doing chamfered or radius edges, and I'm extremely happy to say that I didn't break anything and it actually worked perfectly on the first try. I did find that I was probably a little bit too conservative when trying to do the chamfered cut. On my next coaster that I made, I actually did a little bit more of an aggressive chamfered cut, giving it a little bit more angle, and I think it looks a lot nicer with the higher chamfer that I added. Here you can see I still got a little bit of build-up material in the lettering itself. I'm going to go back and try to figure out how to fix that. I really think a big reason why I'm experiencing that on these parts is because I don't actually have any kind of an air blast or water solution on my spindle. I don't have a compressor pushing air, pushing water, or anything onto the part while it's being cut. And I think I really need to at least have some compressed air blowing on the spindle to help evacuate a lot of the chips while it's cutting. And I think it's what's starting to gum up my end mills a little bit during the longer operations. Now that the part is completed, I'm going to go ahead and pull it off of the CNC machine, get it over to my workbench, clamp it onto the vise, and I'm going to go ahead and cut off the tabs to pull the part off. And we're going to go ahead and put it on our vise, and then we're just going to clean up those tabs and clean up a little bit of the extra debris that was still on there, and here we have it. Look at how good that thing looks. But we're not done yet. Let's go ahead and get back to work. I actually showed that first coaster to one of my buddies, and he instantly said he wanted one. So I got back on the machine, and this time I decided to personalize it a little bit for him and go ahead and make it more directly for him. Now, this buddy of mine is actually a longtime friend of mine that I've actually never met before in real life, but he's been a good buddy of mine that I've met through iRacing, and if you guys follow any of my other content on some of my other channels, you'll know that I've been racing with this buddy of mine for several years now, and so I went ahead and made this coaster for him. We do race under the Venom Racing name in iRacing, and he is a part of the Venom Sim Racing team. So I went ahead and put his favorite number on there. He's been a huge Scott McLaughlin fan, and he's been following him in IndyCar lately, so number 3 has really been the number he's going for. And without further ado, I had to put his name on there. Come on now, he's got to know it's his, right? Here, I'm just doing an extra pass to clean up a little bit extra material. I was trying to have the machine do some of the cleanup work for me, so I didn't have to go do it on the workbench. And then here is where I got one of the coolest things I got to see while I was doing this project. I had a perfect chamfer cut on this thing. Look at that long, nice, beautiful chip. That's exactly what you want to see whenever you're doing a chamfer cut like this. Just mwah, chef's kiss. As you can also see in this part, I didn't actually use any kind of PB blaster or anything to try to cool the end mill, and I really saw that that helped out with the chip load and how the chips were coming off of the machine. It seemed that it actually helped with evacuating the chips away from the part as well. Here we're going to be finishing the final contour cut as well, and one of the small things I changed was I made the tabs that hold the part in a lot thinner for this right here. That's so sick! Oh, let's go! Back still looks nice and brushed. And then voila. Man, that looks so good. If you couldn't tell, I was a little excited to be able just to tap the part out of the stock. That was a really cool feeling. But we're not done. We still got just a little bit of finishing work. There's a little bit of material still left over from these tabs. We're just going to clean that up real quick and then clean off just a little bit of extra material that is still there. But other than that, I think she is done. This is that toolpath finish I was talking about for those of you that haven't seen it before. I personally love the way this looks. It also is still smooth to the touch, even though it looks like there's a lot of ridges in that toolpath. It's actually very smooth. You can't feel the ridges or anything, and that chamfered cut feels amazing straight off the machine. I am still getting a little bit of material stuck in the V-bit areas where I was doing some of the lettering. Hopefully once I have an air system on the machine, that should take care of that. I'm not done yet though, there's still quite a bit of stock left over on the part, and I wanted to make some more coasters. This time I decided to make those smaller ones that I showed in the intro, and these are, like I said, for smaller normal sized cups or soda cans, and I wanted to go ahead and make these ones for my parents. You'll notice here though, I made a slight mistake in my programming. I got the edge just a little bit too close to where I cut that last part on the stock. And I'm glad I caught it when I did, because since that was the first pass, and I'm going to be surfacing the whole top of that part, it says I caught it now, and if I change it, it's not going to make a big deal. So you'll notice here on that next path, it's moved over just a little bit to actually clear that edge. But once I go through and actually finalize everything down and take that top layer off, it'll be good to go. The one thing that's also different about this operation is I wanted to try to make both coasters at the same time. I hadn't done that yet before. I was making each one by one. This time I wanted to program it to where it would go ahead and knock out both in one full operation, and luckily that's exactly what I did. Here's the time lapse. And because these are being made for my mom and dad, they just gotta know that they are the best mom and dad, and that they're the best racing mom and dad. So I made sure to put my racing number on there, and a little bit of lettering on there, and I think they'll like it. Here we're just finishing up the final operation, and then there you have it, guys. These are the finished coasters. I'm so happy with how these things came out. I really hope you guys enjoyed this little bit of a video. I know it was a different format, but I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different. I plan to use the CNC machine for a lot of my future projects, and I think you guys are really going to like what we're going to be doing on this thing. So if you aren't already subscribed, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to my channel, like the video down below, comment on anything else you'd like to see made with this CNC machine, and we'll see you next time. Peace!